Hey everybody, Casey here. So I'm going to bet that everybody who's watching me right now or is listening to the sound of my voice has been in a situation when you've been at a wedding or a funeral, and the person who's officiating would seem to have very little knowledge of the people whom they're officiating over the marriage or the person for whom they're performing the funeral. They just don't know that much about them. And it can be maddening if I'm sure for the people who are getting married, dead person probably doesn't care that much, but it certainly can be maddening for the people who are in the congregation, because these are momentous moments. These are major passages. And if the person who is supposedly officiating over this hasn't gone to any effort to kind of personalize the moment, it's just really frustrating. And listen, I'm going to say right now, I'm not a professional, but it isn't that hard. I've performed 3 weddings as a minister with the Universal Life Church, and I've done a batch of eulogies. And if you ask questions, you listen to answers, and you care about the moment, it isn't that hard to make it a little bit more special. And the thing is, when these things happen, and they happen all the time, they happen even when, let's say, the priest who's performing the funeral doesn't connect to the idea that the person who has died is, been a parishioner for 20 or 30 years, has been a Eucharistic minister for a long part of that time, has constantly put money or checks into the collection basket, and they don't connect to the idea, they don't do anything special. All they do is they pull the funeral file out of their file cabinet, or in other cases, they pull the wedding file out of their file cabinet, and they fill in some names in the sermon, and that's what they do. These things happen all the time. And listen, first of all, the person who's officiating in that case does the people being married or the person who has passed away and their families, in all their case, their families and their friends, it does them a disservice. They have a right to expect more from the person who's officiating. And it also, by the way, squanders an opportunity, because very often the person who's officiating, whether it's a priest, a minister, a rabbi, whatever it happens to be, they're supposed to be a shepherd of souls. And if that person is not taking advantage of the moment to connect with the congregation, let me tell you, they're not being very good shepherds. And listen, I'm thinking of this for reasons that it's not gonna be hard for you to figure out if you saw my FaceTime from last Friday. But it made me, my experience made me think about it in retail terms, right? So let me ask you a question. If you're a retailer, do you put your customers, especially your best customers, are you doing them a disservice by not personalizing the experience in the best possible way, making it a special experience, making it a kind of passage, even in small kinds of ways? Are you doing them a service, or are you doing them a disservice? Are you squandering an opportunity to, expand your flock of customers, if you will, by consistently performing better than what people expect? Now listen, obviously religion and retail are not the same thing. But think about it in political terms for a second. When a politician is really, really good at connecting with crowds, of mixing with people, of connecting with people on a rope line or in a coffee shop or what it happens to be, what are they called? They're called a really, really good retail politician. And it seems to me we ought to be able to refer to retail priests and ministers and rabbis as people who are able to connect in a better possible way. Well, maybe there are retailers, and there are retailers who are just doing things by the book, right? They're not going above and beyond to kind of cater to the people who are their customers. Listen, all of these things are opportunities. They're opportunities for people of religion, they're opportunities for politicians, and they are opportunities for people who are actually retailers to connect in fundamental and compelling ways to make them, to create connections between them and the people for whom they are trying to serve. Anyway, rant over. That's what's on my mind. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.